Ahalin, Maui and Trizzy here, and welcome to Luxor Egypt. After a 40-hour travel day from Los Angeles that included a 15-hour layover in Qatar, during a time where they suspended transit visas due to the World Cup, which means we were stuck in the top-rated Doha airport for our entire 15-hour layover. Yes, that happened, but we didn't mind the amenities and festivities that we indulged in around the airport. We went from Qatar to a quick layover in Cairo to end our 40-hour travel day in Luxor. The sunset was queued up along the Nile River for us after settling our belongings in our room at the Hilton Luxor. Keep watching to learn which tour operator never showed up to pick us up for the Nile River cruise, so you can avoid wasting a whole morning trying to find another tour that day. But for now, let's get into our first full day in Luxor. We spent the morning and afternoon using the amenities of our hotel. We'll share this with you on another video, so be sure to subscribe and get notified to catch our upcoming visuals. Once the early evening came, we hopped in a taxi ordered by our hotel to catch the sunset at the Corniche, which is an area with shops and food vendors that sits along the Nile River. You'll see locals and tourists around here. Be aware that you'll be approached by vendors offering you horse carriage and taxi rides. It can be tiresome dodging and rejecting this kind of attention, but don't let this deter you from visiting Luxor or Egypt in general. After the sun had set, we were ready for some traditional Egyptian cuisine. We took a stroll over to Sofra restaurant and cafe, a 10-minute walk from the Luxor Temple. Streets were busy with drivers on their honks, donkey carriages. Lanes, though, were non-existent. It's recommended to call ahead and reserve a dinner spot at Sofra, but we walked in and got seated right away as a table of two at a round table fitted for 6. It was empty and intimate when we got there. We could feel the warmth from our server, who we later learned was the infamous Ibrahim that was all over the TripAdvisor reviews. He and the staff are great people that made our dinner feel like it was them welcoming us into their home. The Shorbet Quiche was a soup appetizer that's yogurt fermented with wheat cooked with chicken, onion, cardamom, and lemon. Kushri, a dish you'll think was made for marathon runners, had rice, pasta, chickpea, and lentils topped with tomato sauce and fried onion. Extreme carbo load. Our third dish was the Tagine Farak Bil Qadar. Chicken and vegetables stewed in a spicy tomato sauce with onion, garlic, cumin, and pepper. All 3 of these dishes were delicious and came out to be about $10 USD. We definitely craved it again when we left, so please check out and support Sofra if you can on your trip to Luxor. There was no sliver of sun in the sky as we made our way to the Luxor Temple. We highly recommend checking out the Luxor Temple at night. It felt and looked so majestic walking around columns, statues, and great rooms with remembrance of Ramses II, Alexander the Great, Amenhotep III, Tutankhamun, and the goddess Mut. Luxor Temple is one of 2 primary temples on the east bank of the Nile River, the other being Karnak Temple. We paid 180 Egyptian pounds per person, which is about $6 USD. You can pay with cash or credit card. We entered on our own accord with no tour guide or group. Even at night, it was busy, and you can definitely find a guide or a group if that's how you want to go about it. We stayed till closing at 8 p.m. to embrace the temple while it was illuminated by lights, showing off the details of the hieroglyphs ingrained within the structure. As the tour groups dwindled down closer to closing time, we made our way to the Avenue of the Sphinxes before getting kicked out. The Avenue of the Sphinxes connects all the way down to the Karnak Temple, making it a stretch of 1.7 miles long.
We're getting kicked out.
We got back to our room to pack everything up and call it a night as we needed to wake up early to check out and get picked up for our 6 a.m. Nile cruise tour. And so the drama begins. Because we didn't get picked up for our Nile cruise tour the next morning. We checked out of our room, but 6 a.m. came and everyone else's shuttle picked them up. Tried calling them the number on the confirmation booking, and it was a deadline. By the way, Luxor Egypt is the name of the tour operator. Do whatever you want with our experience, but we are unsure about them. Everything will be okay. Everything happens for a reason. I'm just trying to find my reason. We were told the tour operator at the hotel may be able to save our Nile cruise tour. Nasco Tours, who is a third-party vendor at the Hilton Luxor, broke down several options for us. Our decision resulted in us paying more for the Nile cruise and gaining an extra night on the cruise, eliminating a night in Aswan, which led us to cancel our Philae Temple and High Dam tour. When we made the decision to book with Nasco Tours, our private tour to the West Bank started within a few hours. The plus side is having to do the West Bank tour privately, rather than being with a big tour group as originally planned. So here we are, heading to the West Bank around noon. First stop was to visit the Mortuary Temple of Queen Hatshepsut. It was a 50-minute drive from the Hilton Luxor. Entrance was 180 Egyptian pound, $6 USD, which includes an electric shuttle cart to the entrance of the temple. Queen Hatshepsut reigned Egypt for more than 20 years. She was credited to be one of the most successful leaders as her era was the most prosperous. She succeeded in trading expeditions and the development of some notable temples. It was an honor to be here and to learn about her empowerment. Her temple is situated beautifully within natural limestone. The carving and paintings around the temple walls are all original. You'll encounter some of her face damage due to her nephew, Tutmosis III. Let's get into some family drama. Tutmosis III was doing the most in trying to get her erased from history because, in theory, he had to reign alongside her, but Queen Hatshepsut was so boss, Tutmosis did not want evidence of a successful female ruler in history. Next stop was unexpected, but we're so glad it was part of our tour, the Alabaster Factory. The staff demonstrated how they hand make these hefty alabasters. We were brought into their store, which could be a museum because what they're making is such an art. We walked around the store and were not pressured to buy anything. Our third stop is why you'll find 0 pyramids in Luxor, despite what you see on the Las Vegas Strip. The Valley of the Kings is legendary to have several burials of people you'll hear most about. King Tut, several of the Ramses bloodline, Seti I, and others.
Our first tomb.
Their burials are not in pyramids because tomb robbers would know there would be valuables in there. So in Luxor, pharaohs were buried underground within the mountainous desert. Admission was 240 Egyptian pounds, $8 USD, which includes only 3 tombs of your choosing. Our guide suggested we visit Ramses III, Merneptah, and Ramses IX. Going down to see the tombs, we were surrounded with paintings and hieroglyphics depicting the journey of the afterlife. Tour guides are not allowed inside because of them talking and providing more humidity in the tomb, which can impact the original paint. Therefore, we collected our questions mentally and asked our tour guide when we met him back outside the tomb. Merneptah's tomb had people huffing and puffing on the way out because of its stuffy temperature and steep decline into the tomb, only meaning that it's a steep incline on the return. It definitely was a fun trek out.
Now you know I gotta go see King Tut, especially when I'm wearing this shirt.
We paid extra to visit King Tutankhamun's tomb. 300 Egyptian pounds, $10 USD. Most of King Tut's artifacts can be seen at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, but here at the Valley of the Kings is where you'll see his mummy. His tomb is the most preserved because of its late discovery in 1922. there are more tombs you can pay extra to visit. Last stop before getting dropped off at our cruise ship was the Colossi of Memnon. Giant sculptures of Pharaoh Amenhotep III sitting down were the remaining pieces. It's open for viewing, so there's no cost. Just be respectful and aware of where you walk while on the grounds. After a long day of salvaging our now cruise plans and visiting the west bank of Luxor, we head back to the east bank to check into our cruise accommodations aboard the Esmeralda. The ship docked in Luxor for the night, so we rested for an early morning to visit the Karnak Temple as our last Luxor stop. This would be our 4th day in Egypt, specifically in Luxor. After eating breakfast on the ship, we negotiated £200 for a taxi to take us round trip to the Karnak Temple. Admission fee was 220 Egyptian pounds, $7 USD.
Good morning.
Morning. We at the Karnak Temple now. Got here around
6:30?
6:30. And although we went early around opening, it was still full of people, whether they were on a tour or not. The Karnak Temple includes several temples and monuments, some dedicated to Goddess Mut, Hatshepsut, Ramses, and others. This temple has so many fascinating features to it, one being that it was built to align with the winter solstice so that the sun will be positioned in the middle of the temple to provide light to the sun god Amun-Ra. We were there in mid-November and experienced the beauty of where the sun lands. Not quite the winter solstice, but it was incredible to witness what we saw. We were there without a tour guide and roamed freely around the temple. There's so much to soak in when you're at the Karnak Temple. Great hypostyle hall, proven to strain your neck while looking at how tall they stand. The sacred lake that has not lost or gained any water level for thousands of years. The obelisk dedicated to Queen Hatshepsut. And the statue of the scarab that which the ancient Egyptians worshipped the insect. We wish we had more time here. We basically ran to the Avenue of the Sphinxes as our taxi driver constantly blew up our WhatsApp to see if we're done. We made it back in time to the cruise ship to depart down the Nile River to Aswan. As we come to an end of our Luxor trip, we want to remind you to book with reputable tour companies. Feel free to message us if you need any more recommendations on the tour companies we used throughout Egypt. So cheers to a roller coaster of an adventure through Luxor. Stay tuned for more visuals of our past and future travels. Thanks for watching Maui and Trizzy. Subscribe and get notified.